Hello. Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 3691. Today's date is November 8, 2025. It's been almost like night at 9:32 p.m. Alright, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. Alright, question is, what if free will was an illusion? Okay. Okay, this question is kind of like really much very much kind of like different than I expected. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? This is what if question. Okay, why am I asking this question to myself? What if question is always really interested way to give the answer. It kind of like force you to think about that reality, and when I try to construct that reality, it kind of like a required kind of like especially my knowledge and experience and what I've been through and everything. Okay, yeah. I'm just kind of like assembly try to reimagine or kind of like assembly recreate. I don't know. It's kind of like assembly using the knowledge that kind of like assembly stuck inside of my head that I never really use, but because of this what if question, I'm trying to using that information. And in somewhat something, it felt good. I don't know how do I supposed to explain how it kind of like feel good, but it felt good. Okay. Also, disclaimer: the information that I'm trying to tell you is not exactly right or is not exactly wrong either. It is just my opinion. It's raw. It's unfiltered. It is completely my opinion, and opinion are subjective according to the person. Means according to the every people. Alright, so I'm just providing my opinion. So do not believe in any kind of information that I'm saying, or do not seek any kind of information that I'm saying. If you need any kind of information, go to the internet. You will have multiple sources. You will get that thing. Alright, now let's jump back to the topic. Now the question says, what if free will was illusion? Now what is actually free will? Okay, what is actually this thing? I'm not okay. Let me give you context. Okay, free will, FREE, free will means not WHWL. Will means WILL. Okay, but is it exactly right or am I WILL? Yeah, WILL. Okay, so what exactly is this thing free will? Okay, let's just understand the question. Then we will gonna give the answer first. Okay, free will means like that the choices that you made. Okay, let's just say like basically is this thing, today I went to work out. Okay, so is it my choice? Well, yeah, is it my choice? Yeah, definitely is it my choice. Okay, if you didn't really went to work out, then probably is it your choice? Yeah, is it my choice? Yeah, like basically no one actually bother me if I went to work out or not. It's my choice. Okay, yeah. So basically that is called free will. Means like that I am taking the choice kind of like assembly free. Like basically there is no constraint. If I wanted to go to the workout, yeah, I can go. Now basically I'm gonna kind of like give you another example. Okay, I want to go New York. Okay, now this is my choice. Can I able to go to the New York? Well, I can't. Why? Because I don't really have money. So basically in this particular context, my free will is not a kind of like assembly free. It's a kind of like assembly will I want, but probably it's not gonna possible because that choices really required some sort of thing, a constraint. The constraint means a money. I don't really have money, so how do I supposed to go to the New York? Definitely I can't. Okay, do you understand this thing or not? Okay, if you still not really understand, let's give you another example. You went to the office. Okay, and basically is this thing, you are kind of like assembly, tomorrow is a weekend. Okay, today is a Friday, tomorrow is a weekend. Now your boss kind of like came to you and says that we have kind of like a deadline to meet, and probably our project is kind of like assembly that key unfinished. You have to come tomorrow and do your work. Now basically tomorrow means Saturday, so you went to like Saturday, Sunday is off, actually off. Okay, but you went to the office at Saturday. Okay, yeah. Now, is your choice? Definitely not. Going to the office at Saturday is not your choice because it's off, but still you went. Why? Is because you have a job, and basically they are kind of like a senior, and they kind of like mention some sort of thing, and you have to follow. Okay. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: when you do the things by yourself without any constraint, that is called free will. Okay, a choices. Okay, yeah. Now, if you are kind of like simply taking a choices by kind of like simply by some sort of constraint, like you went to the office at Saturday because of you are kind of like simply employee of this office, and somehow they kind of like a senior, they kind of like give you kind of like simply advice or something, and then you follow and things like that. I'm still not really confused. I'm still very much confused regarding about this free will. Okay, yeah, because it's a like let me tell you one thing na ki it's a very subjective and it's a very complicated thing, because our choices are very much different. Okay, very much different. Like still I'm kind of like simply very much confused regarding about that. Okay, but let me understand first of all, because I don't want to kind of like simply tell something really like, let me Google what is, no, Google not, ChatGPT might be kind of like a really good to give me answer. So yeah, what is free will? Okay, free will is the idea that human being have the ability to make the choice independently. Okay, independently means just without any constraint. Okay, yeah, that we can decide what we think, say or do. Okay, rather than being completely controlled by external forces like fate, biology and divine planes. Okay, yeah. So basically means free will means like that. Free will means you could have done otherwise. Like basically it's like you could control yourself. Okay, yeah, like basically going to the workout. No one kind of like mention anything at all. Okay, yeah, you if you want to go to the workout, if you don't, it's completely up to you. Okay, yeah. So basically that is called kind of like free will, a choices. Okay, yeah, get it? It is as simple as it can. Okay, it's simple, but probably it's a bit more complex too. Okay, yeah, because let me give you kind of like assembly example. Okay, yeah. We made a lot of choices in our daily life. Okay, yeah, and some of the choices are a bit more different. Now I'm gonna give you same example. Okay, yeah. I am following the routine every single day. I wake up, I do my things, and workout is my routine. Okay, now basically is this thing today I went to workout is because of free will, or is because of kind of like assembly I have kind of like a set this rule that I have to be kind of like a follow the routine and things like that. So basically is it free will or not? Basically it's kind of like a thing that, because in this particular context your working out is not because of you, it's because of kind of like you are kind of like a set a routine. I also wanted to follow the routine, but probably is this thing that keep. Okay, let me give you context. Okay, let's just understand as simple as possible as you can. Okay, you are like let's just say that you decided that you have to wake up early as possible as you can. Okay, let's just say you wanted to wake up at 6 a.m. Okay, now basically is this thing na ki you set up a routine. Okay, yeah, that you have to wake up at 6 a.m. Now you are following this routine for almost like a week. Okay, now today is a Sunday. Today is a Sunday. There is no office. There is nothing really at all. But still you have this rule that you should supposed to wake up at 6 a.m. Now would you wake up at 6 a.m.? Now basically if you wake up at 6 a.m. then is it free will, or do you not follow the routine? Is it free will? Because let me tell you one thing now. What is exactly my choices? My choice that ki today is a Sunday. I wanted to sleep. I want to sleep because there is no office. There is nothing really at all. So I want to sleep at till almost like a 7 to at least like a 8 a.m. Okay, yeah. So what exactly in this particular context? It's far more complicated than that. Because let me tell you one thing now. If you wake up at 6 a.m. at Sunday, there is no office at all. So you are actually following the routine. So is it considered as a free will, Or if you wake up at 8 a.m., so basically that is called free will. Okay, yeah. So it's very much different thing. Okay, yeah. Because like let me tell you one thing, we are kind of like somebody have a particular life and we kind of like do multiple choices, and those multiple choices are kind of like a rely on so many factors. Okay, yeah. Some factor are kind of like a rely on kind of like a work, relationships and things and that and that. And most of the choices that we do is kind of like a somebody belongs to somebody or kind of like a have little bit constraint. Okay, yeah. Now another example. Okay, because if I'm gonna say like this, why I'm kind of like give you multiple example is because of that key. It is far more difficult to understand, but far more easy to understand too. Because like, and it is also kind of like something is this thing that key. The stuff that I wanted to explain to you, you also not really understand this thing, because if you wanted to take like take your day, okay, yeah, whatever the choices that you make, okay, yeah, let's just say that key, wake up in the morning. Okay, yeah, do you want to wake up in the morning, but you didn't really wake up in the morning? So what exactly is this thing? So it's a very much subjective. Okay, what is actually free will and what is actually free will not? Okay, yeah, it's a very much subjective. Okay, now the question is that ki, what if free will is a illusion? Now illusion means like that ki kind of like a something is this thing that ki a fake. Okay, what is at least this thing? Okay, what is at least this thing? Okay, it's a very hard to explain, but I'm trying to as simple as possible as you can. Okay, let's just say take the XYZ character. Okay, there is a name, there is a kind of like a person, okay, who is a struggling actor, okay, in Bollywood. Okay, yeah, he is actually live in Bombay and he's a struggling actor. Okay, yeah, he was kind of like somebody doing some sort of ads or kind of like somebody whatever the kind of like somebody work that he do, kind of like somebody, yeah, ad agency and things like that. Now he wanted to become an actor, but he didn't really get a chance. He was kind of like doing this audition and kind of like doing this ads and things like that for almost like a 3 year. Okay, yeah. Now what is actually happened that he kind of like somebody is this thing. One day that he was kind of like somebody really much tired. Okay, yeah. And there is a kind of like some audition that he didn't really want to, but because of kind of like somebody his friends is actually suggested that ki, this audition is kind of like a really good and probably you have to go there, and you don't want to because it's just you are really tired and you were just kind of like somebody is this thing, but still you're kind of like a friend suggests that ki, okay, yeah, he's kind of like a really good audition, you should obviously go. So you went to the audition. Okay, probably you don't know nothing really about the audition, like you don't know nothing about this part and things and that. You went to the audition completely blank. Okay, yeah, and they kind of like give you kind of a couple of lines. Okay, yeah, and you just kind of like present the line in the way that you want. Okay, yeah, you're not even prepared, you not even think nothing really at all. The way that you kind of like present the line in a very natural way. Now what exactly happened? That audition, the director kind of like see your take and they kind of like see this is my actor, and after a week they kind of like call you and says that kind of like a screen test, and then you kind of like give the screen test. Still you didn't really believe that you are kind of like a selected. They kind of like give you screen test and you just kind of like, okay, yeah, let's just go screen test, and you went to the screen test, and then after that you pass and they say that you are the kind of like a a face that I wanted to launch a movie and you wanted to be, you will gonna become an actor and things like that, and things and stuff like that. Now what exactly happened? Now that movie kind of like went release, it went hit, and you are kind of like became superstar, and not superstar like they, you will not gonna become superstar by the one movie, no, definitely, but you will went to the limelight. Okay, yeah, like basically people started recognizing you and you are kind of like getting more and more kind of like a movie offer. Okay, so basically at the beginning, okay, yeah, you didn't really want to audition, you didn't really want to go into the audition, but because of your friend suggested that you have to go to this audition, that's why you went. Okay, yeah, you didn't really prepare, you didn't really did anything at all, but still you did the audition. So what exactly is this thing? Is it free illusion, like it is a free will, or what? Okay, now another thing is that, okay, now let's talk about illusion. Okay, yeah. Illusion means what? Ki a fake means like that the choices that we think is kind of like assembly, it's not our choice. It's a kind of like assembly illusion. It's a kind of like assembly a set piece of path that you think that you chose, but probably there is a someone who kind of like assembly already written that kind of like a what path that you should supposed to choose. And you just following that path. You think that the choices that you are doing is your choices, but it's not. It just kind of like assembly you are walking the path of someone kind of like a road that part, things like that. Like basically it's this thing that free will illusion, like a kind of like a illusion means like that ki like everything is actually written. Okay, and you just kind of like simply go into the path. You think that the choices that you make is kind of like yours, but yeah. Now it's very hard to explain. Okay, and it's very hard to kind of like things that our choices is our choices or not. But let me give you context. There are so many events are actually happen in our world are revolutionized. Like it changed the entire world. And those situations are actually happened by luckily or kind of like a something just okay give me okay let me give you the context. Okay, yeah. In the World War One, not the World War One, at the beginning of the world, at the beginning, okay, yeah, the James Ferdinand Duke, I'm not really sure like the name, but the prince of this Austria-Hungary Empire came to kind of like a something like basically this thing. He was actually assassinated, okay, by this particular person. I don't know who's a random person, but he actually okay. So this is kind of like something very like this actually happened. The assassination happened. And because of the assassination happened, World War One happened. And because of World War happened, World War Two happened. So do you understand? A simple bullet fire started the World War One and started World War Two. Just one assassination. How like basically is this thing millions of people die in World War One. Millions of like there are so many people are lost their homes, properties and monies and God not what happened. Like basically it's a one of the biggest chapter written on our human history is actually started by just single assassination. Like how does it it's very hard to believe. Okay, I know that this is a kind of like a prince of this and probably the assassination of that particular person is a really big thing. Yeah, I know, I understand. But on what cost? World War One, World War Two. Have you ever imagined what fucked up thing happened in this particular scenario? So basically, is this thing is the World War One, World War Two is a illusion of free reality, or is it kind of like it meant to be happen? Because it's somewhat something. When I kind of like looked into the history, I realized that it meant to be happen, right? Like basically is this thing, the assassination of this prince is, and it started the World War One, World War Two is meant to be happen. So is it exactly right? Well, probably if you kind of like a thing, like basically it's up to you. Okay, let me give you context. If you are believing ghost, you can see the ghost. If you're not believing the ghost, you didn't really see the ghost. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing, when you already believe in something, you already see that thing. And when you not believe in that thing, you don't really see it. Like basically is this thing, before our choices, we can, when we believe in something, we already kind of like somebody, like basically is this thing, na, ki when we believe that this particular person is a criminal, even if that is not, we actually see him as a kind of like a criminal point of perspective. Okay, let me give you context. Okay, let me give you the Sanjay Dutt is a Bollywood actor. Okay, yeah. Now basically he did kind of like a very much horrible thing. Okay, yeah. He kind of like did the drugs and things and that. And he also kind of like somebody including criminal activity. Now this is the kind of like somebody my perception regarding about the Sanjay Dutt. Okay, yeah. But is it exactly right? No. Like basically the court actually suggested that Sanjay Dutt is not even involved in kind of like a criminal activity. He just kind of like had just connection. That's it. But nothing really at all. And by the way, that connection is very, very, very rare. Okay, yeah. But still, the media propaganda is actually created in such a way that ki Sanjay Dutt is a kind of like a criminal and things, and that's our perception is actually created in that way that ki Sanjay Dutt is a criminal and things like that. What is actually what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki if you are kind of like a started believe in something, you already believe in that. You don't really think about that particular person is a kind of like a somebody victim or things like that. No, you actually kind of like a consider your mindset that ki Sanjay Dutt is a criminal person. That's it. You kind of like a set that mindset inside your head and things like that. What I'm trying to tell you, what is exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. Okay, let's just take a World War One. Okay, let's just take a World War One. Okay, yeah. Now, if you are the kind of person who believe that ki everything is actually written, then you might gonna consider that ki the World War One and World War Two is actually happened is because of kind of like a some sort of civilization or some sort of God is actually written everything what will gonna happen, and we are actually following this path and things like that. So World War One and World War Two is actually meant to be happen. Okay, yeah. But other side, okay, look, this is you. Okay, this is kind of like some person that there is some kind of people who kind of like think like that way. Okay, yeah. Now I'm gonna tell you another story too. Okay, another story. A story regarding about why World War One happened. Okay, I'm just giving the context. Okay, by the way, the World War One is actually happened is not just about the assassination of the Prince of Austria-Hungary Empire. No, there are multiple reasons for World War One happened. Okay, what are those reasons? Okay, at that time means almost like 100 years ago, probably almost like a 1901 something like that. Okay, in this particular context, those are kind of like a couple of multiple empire actually exist. Austria-Hungary Empire, British Empire, France Empire, then kind of like assembly the Spanish Empire. Okay, yeah, and there is a Russian Empire, USSR. Okay, yeah, there are multiple empires. Okay, now at that time, okay, yeah, basically this thing, those are empire, those are kind of Ottoman Empire at the bottom. Okay, yeah, Ottoman Empire at the bottom too. Okay, so basically these empire are kind of like assembly a set some sort of kind of like assembly something kind of like assembly treaty. What a treaty? A treaty means like that if someone is try to invade us, you will gonna help me. Like let's just say A and B person kind of like had a treaty that if someone like basically C and D person will kind of like somebody try to kill me, then B person will kind of like will gonna help me regarding about that. Okay, yeah. So this is what exactly happened. Okay, yeah. Like basically multiple countries have multiple treaties regarding about them, and those treaties are very secretive, by the way. Okay, yeah. So what exactly happened that key Austria-Hungary, this actually happened. There is a war started between the kind of like Austria-Hungary Empire to kind of like a something. I'm not really sure. Okay, yeah. But because of the treaties actually connected to the German Empire and things like that, so it kind of like they are helping us, and now they are kind of like somebody fighting. It's a kind of like a zigzag thing. It's a okay. It's a very hard. It's not really very hard. Okay, yeah. Draw the kind of like somebody two column. Okay, yeah. A, B, C, D. Okay, yeah. A, B, C. Let's just say A, B, C. Okay, let's just talk A, B, and C. Okay, yeah. In second column, X, Y, Z. Okay, let's take this column. Okay, now A had a treaty with X. Okay, means like that if someone invade A, then X will gonna help A. Okay, same thing treaty had like some kind of like some same treaty had with B to Y. Okay, and same treaty have with C to Z. Okay, like let's just say these are kind of like a treaty. Okay, a connection. Okay, make this connection. Now basically what exactly happened? Now those connections are hidden. No one knows that they have kind of like a treaty. Completely blank. Okay, now what exactly happened? That C person, okay, C person invade X person. Okay, now C person invade X person, then A person had a kind of like a treaty. So basically it's this thing that ki X and A has a kind of like a treaty. So basically A person will gonna invade C person because C person invade X. Okay, yeah. Now basically is this thing, because of A person invade C person, then Z person will gonna invade A person because the treaty it had. Okay, yeah. Now, because of this thing, do you understand how fucked up that is? Okay, yeah. So this is what exactly happened. Okay, yeah. So basically, because of kind of like those are treaties are actually kind of like something exist. Like if you not really understand this thing, now like I just kind of like explain this thing as simple as possible as you can. Even if you still not really understand, watch kind of like a bunch of videos on YouTube platform. There are so many videos and they're kind of like explained in far more effective way. Okay, yeah. I'm just kind of like express you kind of like as rough as it possible so that you could understand. Okay, yeah. But there are multiple reasons. There are multiple factors that actually involved for kind of like started the World War I, not just the assassination of this Prince Hungarian, things like that. Okay, yeah. So what is exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. So basically the World War I is actually happened is a free will or a illusion of free will. Well, I am the kind of like a only person who believe that there is no one who kind of like a written our history or future or things like that. We are the person who wrote our history. We are the person who wrote our present, and we are gonna person who will gonna write our future. Also, our future means like that I will gonna control my life yesterday, today, and tomorrow. What I will gonna do, what I will gonna become, it's completely depend on me, what I decide and what I think. I am that kind of like a person. I am not believe that there is a someone person who kind of like a wrote something and I just have to follow that particular path and things like that. Okay. So basically is this thing, I am not believe in kind of like illusion in free will. I think that whatever the choices that I make, obviously some of the choices are bitterly constrained, some of the choices are bitterly free will. Okay, yeah. But still, I will gonna design my life and what I want it to be. Okay, this is what it is. Okay, so basically, I'm not believe in this illusion of free will. I believe that whatever the kind of like choices that I'm getting is kind of like a meant to me, matter to me, and kind of like a assembly. I have kind of like a lot of kind of like assembly factor responsible for every choices that I make. Okay, so there is nothing really at all. Now you understand everything. You understand free will. You understand the illusion. Okay, you understand illusion. Okay, illusion means like that someone kind of like wrote the everything. You just following that particular path, and those are kind of like example still exist. Like basically there are so many things that actually happen luckily. Like some people are kind of like somebody die, or some people kind of like somebody die accidentally, or some people kind of like somebody still alive. Like basically there are so many people who are kind of like somebody alive, they are kind of like smoking 10 times a day but still alive and still really good. But some people kind of like didn't really smoke for rest of the lifetime but still they kind of like die by cancer. Okay, yeah. Like basically what is this thing? Okay, there are so many things are kind of like considered as lucky and things like that. Like basically, have you ever experienced that suddenly somehow you might gonna get accident, but because of you had a just little bit turn and you kind of like save yourself, and that is kind of like something so luckily is actually happened. Have you experienced this thing? Those are a kind of like experience I actually feel, and you probably feel that too. And it's not really that probably that illusion is not exist. It is exist at somewhere at some point. Okay, might be kind of like a luck is kind of like something that we don't know, but still these are exist too, because we actually seen a lot of stuff. Like basically World War II is happened because of there is a British soldier who had a kind of like hit list of Hitler. Like basically that British soldier will gonna kill that Hitler, and the World War II will not gonna happen. But that is not. Okay, reality will not gonna depend on one person. One person cannot change rest of the world. Okay, like we just create this propaganda to kind of like be responsible for that particular thing that Hitler is actually started the World War II and things like that. But that is not. Only one person cannot do anything at all. Nothing really at all. It's a kind of like assembly. The only one person started doing one thing. There is a multiple consequences happen, and those consequences affected by multiple peoples, and then like it started something big. Okay, yeah. Initial point started by that particular person, but probably the world event will gonna happen by the millions of people, and it kind of affected by the multiples of consequences and things like that. Okay, I don't know. Like sometimes you just do understand this thing. It's a very hard to explain to understand this topic. It's a like I didn't really ask like I didn't really give the kind of like some answer because like first of all I just have to understand this topic at first. What is actually illusion and what is actually existing free will and things like that. Now example is this thing. What if the free will was an illusion? It means that what if our choices that we are kind of like making are kind of like a consider as a kind of like a somebody is this thing that key already written at something like basically what if we are living in such a world that we already knew that should we supposed to pass or fail, we already knew, but still you are kind of like somebody try to study hard and things and that and stuff like that. So was it exactly worth it? Like basically is this thing that key you already knew, you already gonna know who will gonna win in the Olympic match. Okay, yeah, like basically you will gonna know that I will gonna lose in this Olympic match. So probably would you kind of like put the effort to winning or things like that? It you will gonna not, because if you know that you will gonna lose the match, how would you supposed to put the effort? You will not gonna put any kind of like some effort. If you already knew that you kind of like fail in this particular test, would you kind of like put the belief? Would you kind of like put the effort to kind of like do the pass? No, nothing really at all. Another thing is that if you already knew that you will gonna pass in this particular exam, then would you put any kind of like effort or things like that? No, because of that you probably understand there is might be a kind of like somebody is this thing that I will gonna pass, so why would I supposed to be study? Okay, yeah. So basically it's this thing, if everyone is kind of like a written and everyone knows that it's kind of like a things that you had written, then probably why will gonna put the effort and things like that? It's nothing. Okay, yeah. If we are kind of like living in that reality, probably I don't know. Okay, yeah. It's very hard to imagine what would gonna world will gonna look like, but it's not. It is kind of like something very not probably. I just kind of like give the answer, but still I kind of like somebody just blank. Still I am not really in like it's as I mentioned, it's a very difficult to explain. Why is it actually difficult? It's very simple to explain too, but as well as difficult to explain too. Because when you try to give a very small example, then it look probably very simple. But when you look at the entire life, then you realize that, oh my god, how fucked up was that? Like basically is this thing, na? Okay, today I chose to go to the workout. This is my free will. Okay, yeah. But if you look at the entire choices that you made in entire lifetime, you realize that, oh my god, dude, those are the free will, are not free will, are illusion probably. Okay, yeah. It's sometimes I don't know how to like. It's a very it's a very it's difficult as well as same as well as kind of like a easy at the same time, and it's very hard to explain. Okay, yeah, because for this particular example you just have to look your inside and look your every choices that you make your entire lifetime, whatever the life that you have, whatever the life that you've been, you kind of like looked at the entire lifetime and you just kind of like think that today am I exist, where am I exist or not? Is it actually exist because of my effort or what? And when you ask this question to yourself, then you realize, oh my god, I just like sometimes I just don't really realize. Okay, yeah, it is that. So this is what it is, because sometimes it felt like that my choices is my choices, but sometimes it feel like that it's an illusion, and it is so fucked up. Okay, like I still believe that the choices should I supposed to be kind of, I should believe that whatever the story that I will gonna write, I will gonna write my story. No one will gonna write the story and things like that. But sometimes I think that dude, if someone actually written my story, then because sometimes it feel like that way, and it's very hard to explain. You actually feel that too, probably, if you're kind of like still listening to this shit. Probably why, I don't know why you kind of like listening this thing. Okay, yeah. But still, if you're kind of like still listening this thing, just look deep down on yourself. Think about every choices. Think about today where you are, and what kind of like a responsible, what, like, think where you are and think about why are you here, why are you in that over there, like what exactly happened, like what exactly is this thing. Think about everything. Think about where you come from, this and that, what kind of like made this choice, who made this choice, things and stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff. And then you realize that, is it my will, or is it my choices, or is it illusion, or is it what? It's very hard to explain. Alright, this is it. I should supposed to be in here, and thank you.